What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Maestro series, the Creator Series. This time, this is the Africa Creator Series. I'm excited because there is some amazing things going on in Africa. And today will be no different. I am excited. And I want to tell this story about Zuria because I've been knowing her for years. We got a chance to work together years ago. We're going to get into her story in just a little while. But for those of you that are new here, this is the new series. Make sure that you subscribe, like, and share this out with the Creator Series because the goal of this series is to inspire people to be great, right? Because the world is surrounded around creators, and we believe in the power of creators. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Today, we're going to be talking about the power of messaging. And we have on no other than the amazing Zuria. I'm going to let her introduce herself in a second and talk about all the amazing things that she is doing and also her experiences and why digital, I want to talk about this conversation, why digital is not a barrier based on where you are, right? And that's going to be a powerful conversation. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into it. Zuria, introduce yourself, tell us where you're from, and a little bit about yourself.
Hi, Justin. Thank you for having me. So my name is Zuria Nagadya. I'm a personal branding strategist, and I help people tell their stories online in a way that helps them basically increase their revenue. I help CEOs, I help people who feel stuck without knowing how to tell their stories for their products, for their services, for who they are, so they can be able to drive results and build community. And maybe just a little bit about me. First of all, I've known Justin for a while now. I think we met in about 2022. And at that time, I had just quit, maybe a few months before, I had just quit my legal career. I was a lawyer then, and I got some health issues. They were quite bad. The doctors gave me a few months to live, and I just decided to quit everything, stay home with my babies, with my husband, and just wait it out, basically. It didn't make any sense to me to stay in the profession. So while I was waiting it out and with this literal gun to my head, I was obviously online scrolling and learning and just seeing all these things. This is how I learn about making money online. This is how I see people creating content. This is how I get into the digital space. And I started learned copywriting. I got into digital marketing. I got like a copywriting course, and that's a story for another time. It was $2,000. And at that time, that literally cost me an arm and a leg to get. But shortly after I got that course, I think 3 weeks later is when I was hired for the project on which we met.
Yep.
And that was like, it felt like it just made sense. In my head, I'm like, did I actually pay all this? And before I could even finish everything, like the payment plan, I paid it off with earnings I got from that. So it just goes to show that despite the fact that I'm from Africa and I'm in a whole different world, you can actually have a stable business. You can build a whole new profession on the internet, meet people like Justin, meet lots of amazing people. So I am so grateful, and I can't wait for us to dive into this conversation on messaging.
Yeah. And since then, you've been definitely helpful helping us with, our Creator Con Africa, the initiative. Make sure you guys go and follow official Creator Con Africa for the events that we are having in Africa. We just had one in Johannesburg and South Africa. Our goal and our mission is to empower creators all over the world. So if you don't see if you're watching this, you're like, I don't see my country. Trust me, we are coming because the creators are what is going to empower the world. All right. So let's jump into it. So you are currently in the amazing country of Uganda. And
Yes.
so I have some interesting questions. It's not gonna be like your tell me how to do this, tell me how to do that. Like we wanna see how you overcame barriers because when people hear about Africa or they hear about certain countries, it's like do they do digital marketing? So it's like you're a lone wolf, right? Because you know about copywriter, and today we're going to talk about the power of messaging. But
Mhm.
first, why don't you tell the audience, whoever's listening to this, like you are a copywriter. What is copywriting? And then also talk about why is it important for you to get customers when you are creating a product? Why should they focus more on messaging and copywriting?
So, copywriting in simple terms is writing words that sell.
Mhm.
As a lawyer, this was a bit confusing for me to differentiate this kind of copywriting and the copyright that I studied with intellectual property in
Everybody
that.
mixes that up, the copywriting with law and then the copywriting. They were talking about something
I
completely different.
know,
Yeah.
I know it was a bit weird, but this is just writing words that sell, words that encourage customers to take a particular action, words that make your audience do something, that make the people who are listening to you, who are reading whatever you've put out forward, to take an action. It could be to buy, it could be to follow, it could be to engage, whatever you want them to do. So it's whatever you see, the words you see on websites, the words you see in adverts, the language you see in on funnel pages and landing pages, the language you see in scripts on YouTube videos, on like all that. That's how I understand copywriting. It's basically writing words that sell. And I want to simplify this as much as possible, because this is also an aspect of copywriting that people don't do, is to just simplify it. Just make words as simple as possible. Whatever you're trying to say, don't we're in a habit of trying to sound intelligent and trying to sound cool, trying to sound like we have all these degrees and these things. So this is one aspect of copywriting that I stress too much, even with my own clients, to understand that if you're putting out content, it's okay. We all know you're smart. It doesn't mean you're dumb if you try to write it very, very simply. So that's why I'm trying to break the definition as simply as possible.
Yeah, yeah. And
So,
I tell people this all the time. Um,
mm,
it's not what you say, but how you say it, right?
mm,
And mama used to tell us that, like, it's not what you say, but how you say it. And so,
yeah.
if you have a product or a service, whether it be digitally, one of the most important things is that you owe it to your customers, or if you're an aspiring, creator watching this, you
Mm,
owe it to your customers to know how to communicate in the way that they need to hear it so that they make a decision, right?
mm,
So let's back
mm,
up for a second.
mm.
You were an attorney, and then you decided to become a copywriter. You decided to do some digital. Like, how does that even, like, you're an attorney, and then you said, like, what inspired you to kind of move out of that into digital? Because a lot of people would be like, you're crazy, and being an attorney is there, but now
Mm.
it's like you started your own business, you wanted to be into digital. Tell us more about that.
So my transition into jumping into the digital space and copywriting was really because of my illness. So I just had a baby. I had a newborn. She was about less than 30 days old. And I'm diagnosed with something so serious. And the doctors are telling me, you're not going to live for long. So for me, it was just a choice point. It was, do I go back to this grind and grind out my days, work a little bit harder, leave whatever I can for them? Or do I just stay home? So we had a discussion. I spoke to my husband about this, and he's like, no, it's okay. If you want, you stay home. Obviously, he was scared at this point because he had been told that his wife might not live for long. And while I was waiting, I was online. I was on YouTube, and I have an auntie. She actually lives in the US. She was on YouTube, and she's like, maybe dive into YouTube, create a YouTube channel, share with people tips about the law, just tell people how they can buy property in Uganda, how people can maybe navigate a few of these challenges, taxation in the country, and all that. And I started, and my channel was there. I was obviously when I look at it right now, it's quite cringe to look at those first videos. But it's how that's when ads start to pop up. You can do this, you can make money from home. So it got to a point, and it didn't make sense for me to go back. I had waited too long. It was almost a year. I didn't want to go back to start afresh. I didn't want to like go back to the firm and tell my bosses that I had told I was quitting, to tell them I'm coming back. It was
Uh-huh.
just a whole thing. So I started learning a few skills. I started getting into a few free courses that people share. And for some reason, copywriting stood out to me. First of all, it was the fact that I was inquisitive about what copywriting means based on what I knew about copywriting as a lawyer. So that just drove me to just get into it. And as a lawyer, as lawyers, we write a lot. We write a lot, we read a lot. I am very analytical. I digest things too much. So it just sort of made it was just easier. It just made sense for me when I learned what it was and how to do it. And the person I learned it from, he's called Sean Anthony. He just focused on email. He actually just told me the course was just email copywriting, but the concepts are the same at the end of the day. So that's how I got into it. That's how I completely quit being a lawyer and an attorney, and I just ended up diving into a lot of things online because it got to a point and even the copywriting wasn't enough. Now you need to find the copywriting gigs. That's a whole other process. That's a whole other story. So that's how I got into digital marketing. That's how I got into a lot of stuff. But basically, that's how I left my legal career behind and got into this space.
Mm. Yeah,
Mm,
it's always fascinating how our journey and our stories,
mm,
like it take I call it sometimes it take a interesting turn, right? Like, I was
mm,
a cell phone salesman, and then, just out of the blue, I went to a seminar and I learned about digital, and ever since then, which was almost 13, 14 years ago, I fell in love with it, right? And
God.
so for
Mm,
you, that was probably a big shift for your family, big shift for you.
mhm,
But let's talk about, you know, we can talk about the power of messaging and why people need it, but let's even talk about the overall view of everything, which kind of goes into why digital, which is the question I have for you. Because so
mm,
many of us, now internet is becoming, internet is starting to become. I was just reading an article about Starlink and that there's all these satellites, and now, in a lot of countries, especially if internet is a little bit hard to get, now with those type of, opportunities happening now,
mm,
there's, now the ability for us to get access to internet is starting to increase, which means
mm,
that we're going to be connected even more, and the future is here. So why
mm,
should someone really consider going into digital? And then what
mm.
would you consider some of those opportunities in digital are if you are, say, like an African creator?
The key word here is opportunity. There is a lot of opportunities in the digital space. And many African creators don't know that. Many African creators are simply just looking at I create a video and I get the a brand to notice this and pay me some little money, and then I go look for other brands. Like for me, that's just scratching the surface. So there is a lot of opportunity in digital. And I'm a bit biased when it comes to ladies and moms. I'm all for make income in a way that allows you to take care of your babies. For me, this afforded me something that I cannot, like I would never think about anything that takes me away from them. So digital allows you to get paid. It allows you to live a lifestyle that you want. You're in South Africa right now. You've been all over the continent because what you do is all digital. So this is something we want to share with as many people as possible. It's borderless. It's borderless. Most of my clients have been either from the US or the UK I think all the years I have worked. And I haven't left the continent in maybe 6 years. because I was in the
Wow.
US, I think 6 years ago. And
Mhm.
I have worked with all these people. I have met you that way because of the importance of just understanding the digital space. And we don't have to understand everything. That's one thing that people are usually scared of, especially when they want to start, because they hear all these things, become a data analyst, become a copywriter, you learn email marketing, you learn, like you don't have to know everything. Just obviously in the beginning, you want to look at quite a number of things, find something that makes sense to you, find something that you relate with, something that you like, something you can bond with, and experiment a little bit and play around with that a little bit until it becomes your thing. Because at the end of the day, we all just make it our thing. I made copywriting my thing, it wasn't mine. Now I'm making personal branding my thing, it wasn't mine. But we evolve, we elevate, it gets better along the way. So for me, going digital has been one of the best decisions I have made. And I believe it's an amazing decision for anyone, especially as an African creator. We don't have excuses anymore. Before it was we don't have internet. Before it was um, people don't trust us too much because of they don't know what's on the continent, because of what the news has branded us as, has branded the continent as. But it's different now with the internet, with social media. People now know what Africa is like. People now know that there is lots of intelligent people on here. People are looking for doing business with people on the continent, with people in Africa. But once these opportunities come, you have to be ready. You
Mhm.
have to be ready. You have to have a skill that's marketable. You have to have something that's going to sell you so that you go global, so that you share who you are, your knowledge, and what you're about globally. So, which is why it's important for you to learn something, learn a skill, like just find a way to get online with even the skills that you have. Find a way to just market them internationally. Find a way to use those skills to solve a problem for a particular group of people and find a way to do this digitally. And with AI, which is a whole different conversation, you don't have to even stress too much. Like you can do this in a few days of you just being focused and asking AI the right questions to help you out and sharing your story with ChatGPT or Gemini or all these different AI tools. So for me, going digital is a no-brainer. It's definitely a no-brainer if you want to build a business for the future. And unfortunately, we are already in that future. Like we're already there. It's not something that we look at that will happen sometime. It's already here. So you better jump on the train. That would be my message.
Yeah, yeah, you said a lot. That's a lot to unpack, but it's so true, which, we hear this buzzword, right? Kind of latching onto some of the things that you said. We hear these
Mhm.
buzzwords like AI and artificial intelligence, but it's
Mm.
it's not coming, it's here, right?
Mm.
And like a
Mhm.
saying that I say, that I love to say is that, you know, the people who were replaced, because we know, I think I was actually I was on Instagram and I saw this article, and it's a brand in America. It's called Chipotle, right? It's like Mexican. You probably heard of it. It's like Mexican. It's like American Mexican food, which doesn't even make any sense. But it's like, but it's like some fast. They've mastered what they've done. The reason why they've mastered it is because it's like you get to see them making food and you get to see all these things, and so you can grab your food. It's ready in like 5 minutes, and it's like kind of like a
Mm.
like Mexican fast food. But anyway, the other day I saw that they had incorporated technology and AI, and they had the robotic arms that can make something in a span of 2 or 3 minutes, right? And so I don't think a lot of people understand that it is, and I tell people this, if you're not a creator, you're going to be forced to be one, right?
Mm.
You're going to be
Mm.
forced to be one because it is imperative that you know how to have skill sets that you can make money anywhere in the world, right? And you build
Mm.
revenue, and you have to learn the skill sets of knowing how to actually build a digital business. Otherwise, That is just a
Mm,
preview of what is already here. Same thing. Let's even use a Africa example. I was in
mm,
Nairobi, Kenya, and they actually opened up a restaurant there where there's actually a robot that's taking the food to the tables. This is in Nairobi, Kenya. People say, "Oh, it can't happen in Africa." Yes, it's happening everywhere. It doesn't matter where you are. So you, as a creator, if you're watching this, you have to prepare yourself. So the question
mm.
I have for you, Zuria, is what are some, because we talk about digital, what would you say are some skill sets that creators should be learning? Because there's so much to master, right? There's like YouTube, there's, people watching this maybe already a creator.
Mm,
What
It's
are
4 o'clock.
some skill sets that you would say
mm.
that you should be, a person should be learning? What does that look like?
Well, first of all, I'm not so sure how I feel about a robot bringing my food to the table. That's what, let's put that out there. But aside from
Yeah.
that, there's some skill sets that I feel like cut across. I feel like cut across as long as if you want to succeed. The very first one is learning how to write. Learning how to write. Because in this digital space, it's the easiest way to communicate. Learning how to write. And this is not me to say we don't know how to write, we don't know how, we know, but learning how to write for your audience, learning how to write in a way that tells people to take a particular action. And that is copywriting. And it's not as complicated as it sounds, right? It's just a matter of you looking at your favorite creators, looking at the people that you like, look at their posts, analyze, see exactly what they're doing, look at the hooks, look at the way they follow up with their messaging, look at their calls to action at the bottom. So we need to learn how to write, because in this digital space, it's the only way we are communicating. It's literally the only way we get to speak to people. I was listening to, he's called Gary Vaynerchuk. I was listening to one of his videos, and he was saying we should be looking at this era as being so blessed to create a business for free, to advertise for free, to start a whole new channel, and build a whole new audience for free, that all you need is an internet connection. And this is the mindset I want us to have getting into this. Like you don't even need to do much, because it's all there. So first of all, learn how to write. Once you learn how to write, we want to learn how to tell stories. Now, it goes back still into writing, but we need to storytell, because most of the content online, or a lot of the content that you see, is too mechanical, is too robotic, is too people trying to sound important, is too people, there is no connection. Stories connect, stories get people to want to be in your world. So, and that's what you want. That's how you build an authentic connection. That's how you build like an amazing audience that knows, likes, and trust you. And in this day and age whereby we are all tapping into the attention, we're all focusing on this new currency, because the person who has the attention really has it all right now. There's no way you're going to get people's attention if you don't know how to tell stories and you don't know how to write. So those would be the very first two. And the final one would be marketing. Learn the simple aspects of marketing, the basic aspects of understanding who your customer is, understanding what their problems are, and then just looking at your skill set, look at whatever skills that you have, and just find out a way to solve those problems for them. Because if you're not solving a problem online, you're doing nothing. If you're not solving a problem for your target audience, you're wasting time, because everyone else is trying to sell something. Everyone else is out here, buy from me, buy from me. Everybody's a pick me, pick me, pick me. The only way you're going to be different is if you tell your story and you solve a problem. Tell your story and solve a problem for one person. It doesn't have to be too many. Choose one person. Look at all the things you can do. I tell people I love to talk about cooking. I love to talk about motherhood. I love to talk about all these things. I have to talk about copywriting, my background as a lawyer. I talk about all these things, But I finally found clarity, which I must say is just a few months ago, when I understood that the only reason I'm online, and Gary Vaynerchuk was very helpful, is to actually serve my audience. The only way you serve them is if you solve their problems. But you can't solve problems if you look at all your skills and you don't know which one can I use to solve their problems. And do that every single day, every single post you put out. Solve a problem, solve a problem, solve a problem. But you have to understand the marketing. You have to understand the neural marketing. We have to understand how humans think, basically. Like we have to get into the whole I feel like I'm going too far, so be sure to stop me when I get
No,
into
no,
this
no.
idea.
Listen, there's no such thing. Keep going. It's all good. Yeah, keep going.
When I start talking about these things, sometimes I don't stop. But it's that understanding human nature is key to anything messaging. Understanding how we behave generally as humans. Understanding that as humans, we are selfish. Because we're selfish, we talk about ourselves. Everyone is thinking about what's in it for them. So before you start telling me to buy from you, what's in it for me? Just show I'm naturally selfish. So I'm not moving around with a credit card when I come online. I'm coming online to have a good time. I'm coming online to just waste time. I'm coming online to just relax. So if I come and the energy is buy, without you actually calling me out on some of the problems that I have, without you actually calling me out on some of the situations, some of the bad habits that I do, without you, and you can't do that if you don't understand who I am as your ideal customer. So for me, it goes into the discussion of not telling people to niche down. I actually don't tell people to do that because we are multi-passionate people. We are multi-talented people. We like all kinds of things, right? So if you tell me to niche down, and I like to talk about digital marketing, I like to talk about law, I'm going to be at a crossroads. I'll be like, so now what do I talk about? Then what do I leave out? But just tell me to focus on an audience, focus on a target audience and their problems. That way, when I'm solving their problems, I can share with them who I am. I can share with them the different experiences I have gone through as a mom and how I can relate that to me solving a problem for them. So problem solving and giving value with a lot of empathy and care. Don't expect anything in return. And this is a tough one for people to understand because everyone is like, oh, now once I go online, I'm going to start making money. It doesn't work that way. You need to be able to create content. I call them the three C's. It's content, then community, and then commerce. You create the content, you build a community around it, which I believe is the most important element. And then you can commercialize this. Once you have a community, you can share a lot of who you are. You can create digital products. You can do all this and people will easily buy them. People will easily, because they've already bought into you. People buy from you. People buy from the character that you put out because they know, like, and trust you. So back to the question you asked, I need to tie this back. The skills we need to have, we need to learn marketing, definitely. We need to learn how to write and then to storytell. And I believe they're all in one thing. It's all under marketing, but just to break it down.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. I love it. I love it. Yeah. And it's so true. The thing that actually changed my life was the art of learning copywriting. It was one of the first skills that I learned. I learned how to write. I learned how to market. If you have those skill sets, then it will absolutely change your life. All right. So as we come to a close, I have a couple questions for you. I call them rapid questions, right? So you can give a quick answer to them because I think it will really, really help people. So the first question is called the fastest. I never seen anyone do this, but I have a belief, right? So let me kind of set the foundation. I have a belief that abundance is all around us. And we've been taught this confined sort of box thinking from school, from the world, that there is not enough abundance in the world. You can only make this amount of money. And that is just not true. The earth is an amazing, abundant place. No matter what you believe, no matter where you are, it's an abundant place. So I call this fastest path to the cash, which is What are the barriers? What can someone do? This is the question. What can someone do? In a concise answer, can someone do right now that can help them take a skill set and get to the cash fast? What give us like some type of actionable thing that they can do right now? You got to think
Okay.
about it.
No, no, not too much, not too much.
Mhm.
Um, Look at your skill set, know who you can solve a problem for with that skill set, find them online, connect with them, don't sell to them, connect with them and show them how you can solve that problem for them. Give a free consultation and then charge them eventually.
What would you say making it more actionable? Because you know we're about action. How would they connect? How would they do some type of connection? What would that look like for them?
So I'll give my own example. Let me use this in my own perspective. What I do is I look at some of the creators that I really like who are in the personal branding space, right? And then I go to their comment section. I look at their comment section because the people in their comment section are my target audience, right? And then I give value usually in the same comment section, but I follow the people I look at that I feel like I want to work with. They could be people maybe that are in Africa because those ones will relate with me faster. It could be people that are on the continent. And then I like to look at whether they will actually afford. It usually, when you look at their pages, you can see when you look at their page, you can see if this person has a business or if this person is doing some kind of thing, depending on how often they share. Then I'll scrutinize their page on LinkedIn. I'll give them some value and then invite them on a call. And usually when I say, oh, hi, maybe I want to connect with you in the DMs, they're like, oh, thank you for connecting. Da, 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 da. Then I'll just ask, do you know about this or do you know about personal branding? You could actually do this for your account. You want to maybe change the colors. Your page looks all over the place. There's like too many colors there. So you might want to do this, do this, do this. They'll say thank you. And then this is how I start the conversation. And then we get on a clarity call. And this is how I've got some of my clients. So that would be a way I would recommend someone to start.
I love it. I love it. Fastest path to the cash. Always remember the fastest path to the cash is how can I remove all of the extra things and get to the cash fast? And that doesn't mean that you violate your ethics. It just means that you don't do all of the extra stuff. You find out how can I get more customers in a fast period of time. You push yourself to basically say, how can I actually make money in the shortest amount of time? All right, last few questions. What would you say are the top two to three books that you've read that has made an impact on your life? What does that look like?
um How to Win Friends and Influence People
Okay.
by Dale Carnegie. There
Mm-hmm.
is another by Baker Kamanda. It's called The Power of Influence.
Mm-hmm.
That's that's a good one. And then the third one would be find oh my God, I talked about this book yesterday. It's called, oh my goodness. Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller.
Okay, that's a good one. Yeah, learn how to build a story brand. Okay, perfect.
Building.
So listen, it has been amazing, here on the Africa Creator Series, where you get to learn from people from all over the world. It is my belief, and the reason why I've started this series and even started other series that you will see from all over the world. The world is much smaller than you think, and we are more connected than ever before with the internet. And you have to learn skill sets of connecting all around the world, especially having international business, but he's also learning how the world is changing. All right. So where can people follow you, find out more about you, plug yourself, promote yourself, give a little call to action?
Oh, thank you. I promote on LinkedIn. Just check me out on LinkedIn at Zuria Nagadya. On all social media handles, but LinkedIn is my bread and butter. I like it there. I love the community there. So for anything personal branding and being able to tell your story in order to increase your revenue, being able to create content that actually attracts your target audience. I'm on LinkedIn, and that's how we can connect. So check me out there.
Love it, love it. Make sure you guys go follow her. It's amazing. And if you haven't, make sure that you, again, like and subscribe to Miestro, all the amazing things. We'll have some link below. Make sure you also, shameless plug, I wouldn't be doing you justice, but also make sure that you sign up for a 14-day trial. We also have free accounts now at maestro.com. Links below, and some of the other resources you can learn, like GOAT University, all the amazing things to help you thrive as a creator in the digital world and change lives along the way. All right, Zuria, thank you so much. And until next time, we'll see you guys on the next episode of the Miestro University and Miestro TV. Peace.
Thank you for having me. Bye.